All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Biggs. Here. Councilmember Laraway.
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Here.
Mayor Steer.
And if you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is the consent agenda. Any questions or comments?
John, do you have anything?
I do not.
I don't know. He answered my question before.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council, please?
Councilmember Biggs.
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway.
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Public comment. We had a few people sign up. Is there anybody that didn't get to sign up who wants to? Rich Gerard?
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Sir, just tap the red light there and it'll turn green for you.
Thank you, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me talk. I'm Rich Gerard with Cuna Lutheran Church. We're at 128 East Porter Street. And I brought some of our congregation here, actually a good share of it. We're not very big. I'm here to see if I can list your help in resolving some issues we have in getting in to use our building. I brought a letter that with our request and some of the outlines of some of our issues. This may not be the time that you have to want to discuss that. If we don't, maybe you could take some time at the end of the meeting to talk with us on this issue. The building has been completed for couple of months. We've been working on landscaping. Needless to say, with the hot weather, we've been doing a lot of that ourselves. We've had some discussion with staff in regard to garbage enclosures. We're a small congregation. We don't have a kitchen. The only thing we have is a coffee bar. So, a $25,000 garbage enclosure is a lot of money for us, size of our congregation. But we are building it. So, but my request is that you allow us to use the building for 4 hours on Sunday for our worship service. If you don't mind, I would give you a letter. Would that be okay with you guys?
Do you have a copy for everybody?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to do that, and then we'll need one for the clerk for the record.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Chris?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have you talked to anybody about a temporary certificate of occupancy and
I have.
these things can be
I
exempt?
have talked to planning a couple of times. The last time we talked about being able to have a temporary while the garbage enclosure was being built. The response was that they would talk with the garbage company. The next day, I got an email says the garbage enclosure has to be built before we could have an occupancy permit, even a temporary.
Okay.
I've been over to the garbage company. We are signed up for service. We have a single cart that we're using currently.
Okay.
We don't need a dumpster.
Okay. All right. Okay, yeah, I mean, we can take this up and get it figured out. I can talk to staff tomorrow.
Okay, would you want to talk about it after your meeting or not? We have a bunch of people here, and if not, that's fine. They could either stay or go.
Well, so we don't have anybody from building department that's here. We have planning and zoning, but we don't have building department. That's
This
where
is who I've been talking to, is the planning zoning department.
Well, building department does a certificate of occupancy though, so, I mean, they would be the ones that do the final checkoff. But
Yes,
I'll talk,
no doubt about it. You're
Yeah,
correct.
I can get-
But we're being held up with zoning and planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right, I can get with them in the morning and we can go over whatever the issue is and get it figured out. But if you don't need a dumpster, you're just using a tip cart, then I don't know what the problem would be, so we
It's
can
kind
get
of,
it
it's
figured out.
kind of a city standard type thing. Everybody has to have one.
Yeah,
Do they have a way to get in touch with you?
Yes.
yeah, I think, I still have your email and everything.
Do you still have my email,
Yeah,
my phone
you
number?
bet.
I'm available. Even though I live in Star, I'm out here as much as I'm in Star anymore.
Okay, all right, yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Thank
a
you very
good-looking
much. I
building.
appreciate your,
You bet, no problem.
The building looks good.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Greta Sinclair. Yeah, Greta Sinclair. Oh.
Would-
Debbie Longnecker.
So I'm kind of seconding what Rick said also. But we were talking about the grass is a
Okay.
issue, I guess, so I don't know if we.
All right, yeah.
Ma'am,
I'll
if you
work-
want to
I'll
make
work with
comment,
him
please
on-
go up to the podium.
Okay, I can do that. So I know that Rich said something about not being able to have occupancy because we don't have our grass growing yet. And I think we were told that we can't have occupancy until we have the lawn growing. And irrigation is gonna be shut off on the 6th. We were thinking about hydro seeding. And also somebody has said they might be able to help us with the cost for sod. So I don't know if that's something that you guys with the.
Yeah, we can take care of it
Yeah.
tomorrow. We'll get it figured out.
Sounds good, guys.
Very good.
Thank you.
Michael Law.
Michael Law, you all know me. I'm here for a different reason, and it's going to be following shortly thereafter, and that's Happy Constitution Day. As the constitutional representatives, you represent the people, but the thing with Constitution Day that I have a little bit of trouble with every year is, do we really put any importance in it? Do we draw near to the Constitution with our mouths and with our lips, honor the Constitution, but our hearts are far from the Constitution? I think we have to do more than just read, because we talk about, getting congressmen and everybody else to read the Constitution. But I think we have to go further than just read the Constitution. We have to understand it and how it applies to us. Quick example, we the people give you authority and power. And any authority or power that we as individuals do not have, we cannot give to our representatives. We have to understand that vital, most important part of the Constitution, which is in the preamble. We the people do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And I think we fail miserably from top to bottom on that. And so I think with this Constitution Day, I hope we will resolve more, not just to read it, but to understand the principles behind it and follow it, because that is where our problem is we're not following it. And so with that, I hope you will also push, not just for reading it and making it Constitution Day or Constitution Week, but entail learning about it and applying it. And that's all I have to say.
Well said. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Marty.
Beverly Wolf.
Good evening, Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration, Meridian. Thank you for always letting me speak and hearing me. I know I can't always make a big difference, but I have things to say because I am a taxpayer here. I've been here for a couple of years now. And I see more fees are going to be voted in tonight and the full amendment on the sewer. So a question I have, which I know this is not Q&A, but maybe you can tell me who to talk to after, is I was researching on the Latecomers Fund. And the fact that the sewer line gets put in at a larger size by the developers because you ask them to, and that they get a kickback fund later, is kind of a sticking in my craw, because most of the developing going on here is on farmland. So who pays for the loss of farmland? It seems to me that the sewer lines they put in for their developers, and I've heard a lot of their arguments and, oh, woe is us, we have to pay for this, we have to pay for that. Bottom line is they wouldn't be here doing it if they weren't making money. And most of them make money and take it away, right? How many of them actually live here? So my question is, who can I talk to, and maybe somebody can tell me after the meeting, about Latecomers Fund to explain that to me? Because my sewer bill's going up, everybody's sewer bill's going up, everybody's water bill's going up, everybody's taxes are going up. And we're not all making the increase in percentage that you're taking from us. So people are gonna struggle, people are gonna hurt. And even the developing that's happening so quickly here, why doesn't that keep up? Why aren't the addition of homes and families here paying the difference that's needed on the utilities? I just have a lot of questions. I always appreciate that you hear me, and I thank you for your time.
You are more than welcome to come in and visit with me anytime you would like. I'm be happy to do that. So, yeah. And that's all I had signed up. Was there anybody else who wanted to address the council? All right, thank you very much. Next, we have Constitution Week proclamation. I enjoy this one. This is good. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law, and whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition of this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through September 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, I, Joe Steer, Mayor of the City of Kuna, Idaho, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2024 as Constitution Week in the City of Kuna, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. And we have Linda Tomlinson here from DAR. She's the one that brings us this proclamation each year. I'll go ahead and sign this and get you a copy of it right now.
Thank you, Ms. Linda.
All right, that takes us to public hearings. Item GA, a consideration to approve resolution R53 2024, water system fees and policies. Jared Empey.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council, Jared Empey, City Treasurer. Before you tonight is Resolution 53, 2024. This is similar to the resolution on sewer rates and trash rates in that the user rate, so the base rate is scheduled for a 3.33% COLA increase. This was calculated based on the CPI change for the month of 2000 from the prior year. And this is to pay for operations and maintenance only within the water system as it is existing. It's not to increase the system or to expand the system. With this, the only reason that this is coming before you as a public hearing is because one of the fees, the water meter fee, which is paid at the time of building permit by builders, is increasing beyond the 5% number, the required 5% increase. It's because we hadn't updated it in quite a while, and so I got the updated numbers from Core and Maine, and that is the reason for the public hearing. And so the only fee that's truly increasing beyond the 5% required number is, as I said, the water meters, and the main one that people use is the 3/4 inch meter, which is increasing from about $290 to $662, and that's a reflection on the fact that we haven't increased it in quite a few years. So that's the reason for the public hearing. So with this, a typical customer should expect the water bill to increase about 64 cents if that customer uses 5,000 gallons or less per month. And if you're a senior residential, that should be about 50 cents per month. And so the cumulative effect of these three resolutions that come before you today, if you're a residential user, it's $2.82, and senior residential is $2.36. And so, again, we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of inflation and making sure that we take increases slowly instead of making large increases to make up for not increasing as we go along. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to stand for those questions.
Okay, questions for Jared?
I got one.
Yes.
It might be a silly one, but how do we identify seniors?
I believe that senior is anyone who is over the age of 65 and who is using that home as his primary residence. In other words, if you're just renting or a landlord, then it doesn't count. But if you're using that as your primary residence, then it does count.
So I qualify.
Well, I won't comment on your age, but
I was just curious how we found out what the seniors is.
so we did a study in 2020 with Keller Engineering, and we developed that rate. And since then, we've taken a COLA rate increase per year.
Do you want to know how we identify who the senior is? You come to us and bring us your driver's license.
Okay.
We make a copy of that, it goes in the file, and then we change the rate.
Is that information put out to the public?
We're going to tell everyone how old you are.
Okay. I didn't hear you.
I mean, like, yeah, calling all 65 and older, please come into the city and register.
All right, any further questions?
I
Okay,
have one.
this is, what, oh, I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
have one. What's the standard for all the other cities? Do they all do the COLA every year? Is this? Because I know we've seen a lot of rate increases since I've been here. And I don't remember, is it just every year that we see them, or have we raised it more than one time in a year in the last few years?
So, Council President, we have not increased more than one time per year. In fact, I believe on the water rates, we did skip 1 year. So, since we enacted the change in January of 2020.
And this is the standard that most cities in the valley use, is the COLA after the annual COLA, or?
So I couldn't speak to exactly how other cities do it. I can only speak to how we've done it, so.
No, nothing further at this time.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and I did have one person sign up to testify. Was there anybody else who wishes to testify in this matter that didn't get a chance to sign in? Okay, Beverly Wolf.
Thank you. Beverly Wolf, 3420 West Commemoration Avenue in Meridian. While I can appreciate that you're releasing the rate at a small amount, any rate increases affects everybody who's on limited incomes. And it seems to me with all the developing that's been going on and the houses coming in, I still don't understand why things are happening so fast and so expensive when there's so many issues to address. I really wish you would slow down. And I'm going to state this quote yet again, because I'm hoping that eventually it'll hit everybody's heart and not just your head. Nothing in the United States Constitution's Fifth Amendment requires a government entity to promote the maximum development of a site at the expense of the public purse or to the detriment of the public interest. Taxpayers need not subsidize unwise development. Now, I get that there's a lot you guys want to do, and you want to grow, and you want to build. I've been here for 2 years. I read documents. I see what's happening. I see the citizens who stand up here and talk about leaking in their foundations, or please, this road is too busy, don't do this. There's so many things that you have to balance and weigh. I also see stuff like using my tax dollars, I'm assuming, to file eminent domain lawsuits, right? Doesn't that come out of my tax dollars? I don't know what to tell you. I don't have an answer. I don't know everything. I just know what I hear. I know what I've been watching. I know what I've observed here. And I wish you would slow down and look back at what you've done. Have you done it because you feared lawsuit? Because a property owner gets to say what they do and don't want to do with their land? What happens to the people who are here first? And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people who've been here who are getting pushed off their land. You know, a lady not too far from where I live, who it appears is getting pushed out because the developer doesn't like the way her land looks. I've even seen animal services called on her. And all she does look like is she wants to just live and take care of her horses. I don't know. When do you look at the people? When do you consider the citizens over the developers? Thank you.
So just a couple of points. One, there was no eminent domain lawsuit filed. We had discussed it at one time, but we didn't follow through with that. And if people were being pushed off their land, I would have a real problem with that. People generally sell their land. So, I don't know who's been pushed off their land, but I haven't seen it.
It's an outside observation, it's what it looks like based on what I see, you know, it's just an observation. I'm not
Okay.
making an accusation, it's just an observation.
Okay, yeah, Chris, did you have something you wanted to?
No, it's okay. I was just addressing the growth issue. We've denied more projects recently than ever before, so.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that too.
Okay, if you want to talk some more, you'll need to come up to the. All right, was there anybody else who wished to testify? Yes. I'll just change your name over to the next one.
Michael Law, I'm at 892 Cranesville Avenue here in Cuna. I'll just make it real quick. Again, Constitution Day, we're talking about, so the Declaration of Independence started this whole thing. And in there, it talks about every man created equal, and everybody should be equal. Here, I am hearing that, which I already knew, that seniors get a little bit of a discount compared to the rest of us. So that makes them more equal than the rest of us. I understand the situation, but we have to treat everybody equally. And while I'm speaking of the Declaration, the Constitution is the consummation of that Declaration. And so treating somebody with more equal than others, like giving them a discount because they're a senior or they're a veteran or disabled, it doesn't matter. Everybody should be treated equally. And when we start having government go, we're gonna give you a discount, we're gonna give you a discount, we're gonna charge you, we're not gonna charge you this person, we start doing things unequally, and that's what leads to inequality, not only in how government is treating others legislatively, but it also happens in the judicial system as well. So anytime we are trying to give somebody a benefit that somebody else doesn't get, we start getting unequal, and that is, I believe, in violation of the very Constitution that we're celebrating today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Question is rightfully before council.
Do we need to close evidence presentation? Mr. Mayor, do we need to close?
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else? Any other questions to ask before?
Okay.
I make a motion that we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Well, I think in this case, like the reason he said this one was becoming, for the public hearing is those meter fees that were way behind. They're actually, want to make sure that developers pay and builders pay for their fair share of these so that people aren't supplementing those costs. So that's why this one went nuts this time.
I've always been one to add that you know, the increased costs we're adding to the system, so continuing to charge for the user for the system's always been something I've had an issue with, but I understand what he's saying with the cost of living adjustment. Is there any way to break that out, where we don't raise the cost of living on the residential user, but keep the rest of the stuff? Or is it, do we have to have it all? Right, because some of those fees haven't been raised in a while, right? The construction, new development. Is that a Mark question?
Are you asking if you can charge new system users a greater rate than existing system users?
No, if we can just raise the fee like we're going to, except for the end user, the residential user, and not take the COLA adjustment on them.
And so only take it on commercial users and industrial users? Is that what you're
The
getting?
rest of what's here? Or is it all in one?
Let me look at what page are you looking at in the packet?
Starts on 137. Because I know some, like you said, some of the fees haven't been raised in years. So I understand that, to bring them in line with the other.
And so what fee are you not talking, because you say the residential.
The cost of living for the end user for residential users.
That is which part of the resolution that specific line appears, that line item?
Jared, do you know exactly where it's at?
Yeah, it's on,
Page 130, bottom of 139, the top, or top of 139, bottom of 138.
yeah, so it says standard water use fee.
And so, but this, if I'm just looking at this paragraph, I'm sorry, Councilman Bruce, I didn't review this paragraph before we got in here. So if I'm understanding right, you're asking if we can parse out residential users and not increase it for them? or
Right, and
just-
not take the cost of living adjustment on that user, on the standard water user.
But this standard water use fee is not only for residential users, correct, Jared?
So, Mark, so we have a residential rate, we have a senior residential rate, and then we have commercial rates.
Okay. And so the concern I have with doing this, actually, Mr. Law actually stated it, all users are users of the system. And if we're users of the system, the purpose of these fees is not to pay for growth of the system, it actually can't be for that, but to pay for the maintenance of the system, to ensure it actually keeps performing. And I can think of in other cities to pay for when you actually have to redesign your chip system because of changes in law, those kinds of things that just come up and have to happen. And the way fees are designed to be, you can't, fund a system on the back of one user to the detriment of another user, if that makes sense. So if you're gonna do a fee increase, I wouldn't parse out residential users different from others. And if you choose not to do a fee increase, I'd say that would need to go to everyone, that there's not a fee increase. And then that just becomes an issue of
Right.
what Jared was getting out of falling behind inflation and.
Right, and I understand that too. My thought is that, everyone's experiencing inflation right now, not just the city, right? We just passed a budget with so much money in the bank, and then we're still, I voted no on the budget as it was, so just continuing to raise the fees for people is just, it's a struggle for me. But I understand what you're saying.
So and I think Jared already stated this, I pulled up the 2023 rates just for your own edification, and as a recap, because I know I heard Jared say it, but the monthly base rate this is everything 5,000, up to 5,000 gallons. Everything else stays exactly the same, so anything above 5,000 gallons of usage, the same rates apply, but residential goes up by 64 cents. And then the senior residential goes up by 50 cents for up to 5,000, and then commercial goes from 1930 to 1994, which is the same rate as residential. And commercial oversized that's the big one, that goes from 137.35 up to 141.92.
It's just 3.3.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, is the commercial a little more? Commercial's 5.5. That's why that one's much bigger, right?
So, Councilman Biggs, so all of them should have received an increase of 3.33%.
Okay. It's just bigger because it's a bigger number to start with. Yeah. Okay. So, and then the senior residential goes up by 50 cents. Everything else stays exactly the same. So anything above 5,000 gallons of usage, everything else stays exactly the same. So
That's all I have.
Okay? Any further questions? Or comments?
You guys have a motion? John?
So I guess I don't have a motion yet, but the consequences of not taking the increase, pulls from what? I guess the city continues to pay higher and higher, making up for.
It just uses the funds that we have in the bank.
And I just wonder what that cost is over the year, if that happened. I guess it's a question for Jared. Is there an
Well,
estimation?
I think the last time we did that,
Would we skip a year?
and part of that was my fault, because I kept postponing, making those increases, because of the way the economy was, I didn't want to raise anybody's fees, and, let that go too long, and then it created a substantial increase after a period of time. And so, what Jared's been doing is following the trends, so that we don't get behind and we don't have to have a substantial increase like the last time we did that. I think it's a bit more shocking to have to make up a deficit than it is to keep up in the first place. So we can use funds that we already have to make up for our costs that we're putting out, but eventually that starts going a negative direction, and then we end up with bigger increases. Jared?
Yeah, agreed. So, as was stated, the scheduled increase is 64 cents per month. So what that entails is if you add up all of our users, I think I had it calculated out to where it was about 130 to 140,000 in revenue that we'd go without the increase.
And I don't look at it as necessarily just the amount of increase. I look at it more as, it just continues to grow every year, right? And we're adding users to it. So what in turn happens is the city's accounts continue to grow, which is government. That's why I didn't want to vote for the budget increase this year, is because I'd rather carry a lower balance in the account funds that we have rather than continuing to grow it. That's why I voted no. So it's not a dollar amount for me. It was just a continued growth of fees in general. But I see what they're saying. That way they're not breaking off more to someone else.
If I might, Mayor.
Yes.
So Councilman Bruce, you asked a question about whether this is common in other cities. I mean, I do represent other cities, so I get to see it, and I'd say fee increases on these user fees are very common in other cities on an annual basis. It is something I see. Is it always the COLA? No, I've actually seen some cities have to take a larger than COLA because they did not increase in
They
other
forgot,
years,
yeah.
right? And so I get where you're coming from as far as, to kind of get to that question you had. That's at least something I've experienced in other cities.
Any other questions?
Okay.
I just think it's something we should look at further down the line, right? When we approve budgets from here on out, we should look at the balance that we have and maybe necessarily not continue to grow our budget every year, so. I make a motion that we approve resolution R 53-2024.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of resolution R 53, 2024. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that motion carries. And that is all we had on the agenda for tonight. Just give you a little bit of an update. We had, there's some funding. It wasn't really a grant funding, but it's money that's distributed to cities or health districts for education on avoiding opiate use and opioid use. And we we got together with the police department the other, we've been using that funding here and there for things, but I think we're looking at putting together a program to work within the school district to get some resources going and do some educational series on that money, on that topic, using that money. It's money that they're giving out. It either goes, we can use it, or it goes to the health districts. So with the help of Sergeant Keene and our police chief here, we're working on a program to kind of be a groundbreaker on putting that educational program into the school district, and I'm real pleased about that. And it's not huge amounts of money, but it's enough that we can actually make a difference, I think. So real pleased with that, and we met this week, and I think we're gonna get that all started and going good, so.
Sorry, I turned it off. I remember we had DARE when we were younger. Do you remember DARE?
Yes.
Yeah, brain on drugs, the eggs.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it's good to see, you know, the outreach to the community.
I'm old enough, we just have blood on the highway.
Blood.
When I was a kid. Yeah, anyway, so that was kind of all I had today.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
No, sure.
Okay, well, I appreciate it very much, and have a great rest of your evening. Meeting adjourned.